Good morning and a warm welcome to the dialogue on Sol TV. My name is Prince Apollo. It is time to reflect on the big events of the week. We had a very joyful week, especially after that victory of the Uganda Cranes against the Ghanaians in the ongoing CAF or CHAN 2024 continental tournament. Welcome back from Nambole, and congratulations to Ugandans, the national team, and all the stakeholders. It is that time when you feel that sense of patriotism. No colors, no ethnicities. It's just joyful, and I think it's why sports make a crucial component of our society. On the show this morning, we'll be exploring the preparedness or unpreparedness of stakeholders as we head into the 2026, looking at how political parties are really prepared, how the Electoral Commission is prepared, how the civil society organizations, the voters are prepared, and also looking at whether we can indeed have a free, credible, and transparent 2026 general elections. We can see within the National Resistance NRM, the gloves are off, the punches are flying, but what does that mean as we head into the general elections? My name once again is Prince Apollo, and I'm always privileged to have you as ardent viewers. In the studios, Dr. Gerard Wansara, a public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute, is with me. Richard Baguma, veteran journalist, but also a political commentator, is also with me. We expect to be joined by the Electoral Commission Principal Public Relations Officer, Paul Kenya, and of course to dissect these and other pertinent issues. It is my honor and privilege to speak to introduce Dr. Gerard Wansara. The call that interrupted me is from Bukenya, Paul. He told me he has an emergency at Mengo Hospital, but we pray if all goes well, he will join us. Dr. Werihe, please speak to our viewers before we kick off the big show.
Good morning, our viewers. I'm glad to be here to engage with you this morning. And of course, I thank God who has enabled us to be here. Special greetings to my ardent viewers in the United Republic of Chirinya, and of course, Bubulo County East, where I come from. Only that I'm not happy I'm sitting next to Richard on my right here. I always prefer that you give him a seat very far from me. But anyway, let me be firm in my seat.
You don't want to infect me with
thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, Richard, you can speak to our viewers. You can proceed. And
good morning, our viewers. I'm always super proud, of course, that you patronize us. But first of all, the power is all in the hands of God. I thank God that He enables us to be here, enables us to come again and share with you. But I'd like to thank you, all our viewers, and the listeners for the radio stations who join us. Thank you for patronizing us and being with us. I am very happy and proud to be near Mr. Werihe. You see, Mr. Werie does not enjoy bananas as much as I do, so he doesn't want me to infect him with the banana syndrome.
Okay.
I'm talking about the sweet banana. But it's nice to be here, and I'm hoping that we will have a lovely weekend. I was very much looking forward to interacting with my friend of Kenya.
Paul.
I want to hear him answer this question of preparedness or not.
All right. Let's hope for the best. If he steps in, then we will be lucky to hear from the a key stakeholder in the preparations and the whole process of elections. But this week, the country is still mourning the passing of a key figure, not only in politics but also in the women's rights movement, Honorable Rhoda Karema Sibirwa. She passed on this week, a very highly respectable citizen at 96. She is one of the first female MPs, and she's regarded as the patriarch in Ugandan politics. I saw a neurology here. It's a tribute I can read. It is from Yvonne Mpambala, a Ugandan social justice lawyer. And she wrote, "We mourn the passing of a true matriarch, a trailblazer, and a pillar of Uganda's democracy, Mama Rhoda Karema. Her life was a testimony of courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to justice and public service. In a time when few women dared to enter the political arena, she rose with dignity, principle, and strength, becoming not only one of Uganda's first female members of parliament, but also a moral compass in some of the nation's darkest hours. Mama Rhoda's legacy is etched into the very fabric of Uganda's history. She stood tall in the face of adversity, endured personal loss with grace, and continued to advocate for peace, inclusion, and integrity in leadership. Her voice, calm yet resolute, inspired generations of women to lead." Dr. Jared Wansala, in just 1 minute, we pay tribute to Honorable Rhoda Karema. Just one word. I saw influential women like Media Matembe, Honorable Winnie Kiza, Winnie Byanyima. All those are actually say they were inspired by Rhoda Karema. Just 1 minute.
First of all, I want to send condolences to the family and the country. Of course, you cannot talk about the politics of Uganda and then you rub her name off the books of history here because of being among the first female members of parliament in Uganda. You cannot talk about championing for the girl child education, which saw some roots in the 70s. And many people think that we have started talking about the women's education now, but processes that led to the establishment of the girls' schools around the country. These are people who first championed the women's movement to ensure that the girls go to school. If you look at the earlier years of NRM, these were the champions who became role models for other leaders who later followed, the Winnie Byanyimas, the Matembe, and so forth. So, to me, if it was a house, I would compare them. I would compare her to among the bricks that made the foundation on which now the women of today are standing. And today, where we have the moral absence. As you know, the country is facing a moral crisis, where we are looking at politics as a business. We are looking at politics in transactional terms as not being a way through which we can improve our society. So these were the role models that we can reflect on, how they did their work to benefit the greater good of the country rather than focusing on self-enrichment. I also knew her, I think, in the areas of women and entrepreneurship, that other than women focusing on being provided for, but they become champions in also supporting homes to be able to make a contribution financially to the homes where they belong. I think in brief, that is how I can summarize her legacy.
Wow. Richard, special tribute to Rhoda, Honorable Mama.
Yeah, condolences to the family. I didn't really know Rhoda. Can't claim to have known Rhoda. In my journalism career, I somehow never came across her. But what I know is we used to say she's the mother of parliament. She's, yeah, like now we started saying she's the grandmother of parliament. That's what I knew. And then I was intrigued by I used to, you know, when people succeed, I try to kind of think about their history. And then they said, oh, she was among the very many that the Prime Minister of Uganda, the person who was Prime Minister twice of Uganda, he was called Nsibirwa. Martin, I think, Martin Ruther. Yeah, I think that he was the father.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that she grew up in a large family, but she was very distinguishable in the very, very many children, and went to school in a largely boys' school. But even there, she held on her own. Yeah. So that her achievements were not really just what we see. Even in her earlier life, she was that, you know, a person who punches and breaks her barriers. But I didn't really come across her or speak to her directly. It's just what I read about her, and from what you read, she really was that achiever.
Sure.
Yeah.
And not only herself, but even her family. It is well documented that her father, the former Katikiro of Buganda, Nsibirwa, was assassinated after he advocated for expansion, giving land to Makerere for expansion, and he was assassinated just for that.
But Nsibirwa was known for being very, very pro-education.
Yeah.
So when you look at the lands that the Uganda government gave to the Department of Education at that time, because it was being given to the Department of Education, really Nsibirwa did a major.
I think that also speaks of a legacy in the family, and you cannot sidestep such a legacy. We can only pray that and celebrate her legacy, her life and legacy, and hope that Ugandans will emulate her works and her character in one or another. I think we can go straight to the topic. And okay. Paul says he's joining us anytime. The patient is getting better. Let's now kick off this discussion. And unfortunately, we would really want to first hear from the Electoral Commission, being the key stakeholder in the preparedness or unpreparedness. But Dr. Wanzala, you can open the show. We are looking at barely 5 months to elections, but already, as we know that elections, an election is not an event; it's a process. So we are already in the middle of the elections. You can tell us, from what you see, from where it started, from the, for instance, from the voter register update, up to where we are, looking at the conflicts now in political parties within even the ruling party. I talked about the punches flying now within the NRM. Looking at the failure to table electoral reforms. Though last week we spoke about the commitment from the Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister saying he's going to table reforms, including the use of biometrics. But we are not so sure whether there will be comprehensive reforms. Is the country ready for the 2026 general elections?
Thank you very much.
Or where can we start if we are to evaluate the preparedness or unpreparedness?
Thank you very much, Apple, for that. I think this is a pertinent topic that we need to discuss, sure, especially at this time of the year when we are heading towards the election. Before I address the major issues in the electoral cycle and how we evaluate the integrity of the electoral process, I think the Minister of Justice, who is also a leader of an opposition political party, was given a rope to hang himself.
Sure.
And so when he talks about the preparedness, the electoral reform, especially now, I think that noose around him is being tightened, and removing it from him might become, it will be very, very hard. You know how hard it is to rescue a person who has already kicked the stool on which he was standing in an attempt to commit suicide. But leaving that aside, electoral integrity has a number of checklists. One of them is the legal framework, the legal preparedness. That usually almost at every elections, there are lessons that are learned and recommendations made from the electoral observers to the effect that when they are improved, they can improve the next electoral cycle. Now, since 2020 elections, we have not seen reforms come. Among the things that they recommended, if you look at, because you remember, you know that a number of the election observers has been reducing over and over a period of time. Some development partners have even deliberately, like the EU, refused. They are saying now we are no longer interested in observing Uganda's elections because recommendations that are made over and over again, they are not worked on. Among the things they proposed, one, that they cut off when we extract the voters register from the national NIRA data, national ID data, to turn it into electoral commission voters register, that the cutoff is a whole year. December, if you're going to have elections in 2026, January, then the cutoff is November 2024.
A year before.
A year before. So implying that many youth who become 18 after that, they are denied the opportunity to vote. In the previous election, it was estimated that about 3 million young people did not.
Who turned 18 during this last year.
Exactly. So that is the first step of disenfranchising these young people. That they have made 18, but you have denied them their right to participate. That is one. The other recommendation that I saw in the East African Community Recommendation Report was the issue of the use of technology. This is a recommendation which first came in 2016 after the Amama Mbabazi versus Yoweri Museveni case in court. To date, we don't have an enabling law to facilitate the use of biometrics in elections. But we have been talking about, and the time is not there. Among the issues that they also recommended was that there should be a law that, and then guidelines that ensure effective participation of the civil society in observing these elections. But the gaps are still enormous. So you see that the legal framework is still problematic. We also had the issue of the election of the youth MPs to parliament, that they are elected by an electoral college, yes, but most times the independence of this electoral college is compromised, alleging bribery and so forth. What I also saw that we should strengthen the laws around the behavior of security forces. You remember we lost people during the electoral violence, and this is documented. They said, how do we strengthen regulation, allow the role that security forces play in elections? The army, if a soldier is got directly getting involved in negatively in an election, how are you going to handle? How are you going to punish that kind of person who has abandoned their role and is directly involved in this? So when I look at the legal frameworks, we are not ready. Now, there is what we call the election administration. Election administration has to do with the role of an electoral commission, which should be independent, which should be seen to be impartial, which should be seen to be well facilitated to deliver, to midwife a credible electoral outcome. Now, while we have the institution there, okay, but the latest test, its behavior has been tested in a few elections we have had.
The Electoral Commission.
The Electoral Commission. Like in the Kawempe by-election, we saw where their role was totally, they were totally stampeded by the UPDF and other security organs. And in the execution of their work, they were also not talking. They were very quiet, implying, which created suspicion and the idea that probably the two are in bed, because if I am doing my work and then security is becoming the biggest source of confusion to my work and I am not talking about it, how can I be trusted by the stakeholders? I know that it can get complicated sometimes because they don't control the command of this, but they can be seen to be engaging and saying, please stay away from this, ensure that, for you to gain that public trust. Okay, that has been problematic. Now, we also appreciated them, the Electoral Commission, when they released the electoral roadmap almost a year before. We discussed it here, we saw the estimated, we said, given how elections have become a whole public sector, or that we are expecting over 3 million office holders in this small country, you could predict that this number of people are likely to contest. And therefore, the roadmap could be at least near. But now what we are seeing is that if you revise a roadmap on 1st August, bringing elections, nominations back,
closer,
when political parties are still preparing, political parties are still sorting their candidates. If you look at a party like NUP with their method of not holding elections, and then I saw them in Masaka yesterday, trying to sort candidates through vetting. When will you finish the entire country and be able to participate? So this very month of August, we have seen the roadmap revised twice. So bringing the dates much more closer, throwing the political parties into panic. I'm just asking, are they engaging stakeholders? Because in election administration, the electoral body managing elections must regularly engage the stakeholders, because political parties are key, because they're going to give you the candidates.
Sure.
Even those who intend to be independent, they also need to prepare. We have processes here to do with the verification of academic documents, collection of signatures from the voters who are going to nominate you. So if you keep pulling the nomination dates from October, you keep shifting until now, there are now political parties that have just realized that in 2 weeks, they have to be presenting candidates to the National Electoral Commission for nomination. I think in respect to election administration, there is a problem with the way we are handling the roadmap, with the limited engagement of stakeholders, to the effect that I have seen some political parties now alleging that there is a collusion between the Electoral Commission and the NRM party, that they could be now following the NRM electoral roadmap rather than being an independent body. So these are some of the questions the Electoral Commission needs to handle. Now, there are other issues that have come in respect to
as you wind up
to use of money, campaign financing. I think it is high time that we started discussions around campaign financing. This has come over and over and over again. We have just seen how money has distorted and abuse of power has distorted the NRM internal elections, whereby illicit financial flows become a tool for disorganizing elections. And I think NRM could have thought that they were immune to that. But if it is happening there, then it can also affect the general elections. Now, as I wind up, there is the issue of information integrity. Information integrity. What kind of information are the voters getting for them to be able to take a right decision? As you know, there is total absence of civic education in the country, and also funding to the Electoral Commission for voter education is always very limited. Very limited. I am in civil society. We have followed this process of accreditation, especially this time around. The accreditation of the actors in the electoral process who are going to play various roles, voter education. I think there has been a gap.
Sorry to interject, but I don't believe in your assertion that there is totally no civic education going on, because through these programs like here over the media the population is
there is limited civic education, but from the government side the civic education has been almost zero, because it has only been deliberate. There's no comprehensive curriculum. There is no funding to the Uganda Human Rights Commission, which has the constitutional role. There's no civic education policy in place since 1995. For sure, these are facts.
So just for the benefit of Paul, who has just stepped in just few in just 1 minute, highlight those key concerns, because I am sure he's the man now who can respond appropriately.
Yes, I mentioned the legal framework, that the recommendations that were made, we have not. I don't know when they are coming, and that's why I say that probably the Minister of Justice has a rope in his neck to be hanged. So, but that, they will tell you that it is not their role. They get these reports, they share with the relevant ministry, in this case, just Constitutional Affairs, and then they also say the Parliament has a role to do this. And that I will forgive them, because second is I observed areas of electoral administration, that the roadmap is being moved backwards very quickly
by the EC
when the political parties are still
disorganizes
their preparedness, because having candidates is key. Without candidates, what election are you going to conduct? That is key. I mentioned the issue of what else?
Yeah, civic education.
Yeah, civic education, voter education.
Yeah,
voter accreditation
and financial flows.
Educators, illicit financial flows. So there are so many. I talked about their engagement of stakeholders, because security people disorganized Kawempe elections. And then they were even nullified. You know, they are now in the Court of Appeal. So are they engaging the security agencies? Are they all the people responsible publicly, so that we can have the trust that even when the circumstances are hard, but you appear to be doing something to gain our trust.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jired Werihe Wanzala. And Wanzala is a public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. Pleased and privileged to have Paul Bukenya in his seat now. I will humbly ask you to speak to our viewers and you'll wait for Richard to also submit. We thought you would come first, the EC being a key stakeholder in this preparation as we gear up for 2026. But I also mentioned it on air that you had an emergency in the hospital. That is why you delayed. So you don't need to apologize. Happy to have you on the show.
Yeah, good morning, our viewers and my fellow panelists, Senior Panavaguma, and then Dr. Wanzela. And Apollo, thanks for being patient with me. Like you mentioned, I just got an emergency and had to drop Ilana at Mengo Hospital. He's under care. And I thought maybe
Hope he's improving.
Yeah, he's receiving attention and I'll be able to drop back. And yeah, so for the viewers, I'm glad to be here to talk about how election we're planning and how we are executing the roadmap for the elections. We are right now in the center of it. It's moving on and progressing well. And I believe as we go along, I'll be able to respond to issues that have been brought up, but also to guide on how we're managing the rest of the processes.
Thank you so much, Paul Bukenya. And Paul Bukenya is the principal Public Relations Officer at the Electoral Commission. Richard, as we talk about the preparedness, which areas do you think we should talk about, in your opinion?
Thank you. I had, before the program, I had told you that I would have loved to listen to Paul. You see, Paul is a very calm speaker. And he's been at this for quite a while. So he knows how to maneuver around controversy. Sometimes we have to make firm commitments. Yeah. But for me, I think to assess election readiness, you have to start from the ruling government. What is the ruling government's behavior towards the next election? I think that's very important, because the Electoral Commission is down on the radar of things, on the ladder of things. You know, for us, we confuse R and L sometimes. So on the ladder of things, the Electoral Commission is lower. Yes. You see, Bukenya cannot spend money which he doesn't get.
Yeah, sure.
And Bukenya does not allocate money to himself.
Sure.
Ministry of Finance, Parliament, and you know where the budget gets signed anyway off. The budget gets signed off from State House. The other institutions can go and make their noise. But the real signing off of money is at State House. So if you take away that reality, if you don't accept that reality.
And speaking about State House, I hope you speak in the context that the substantive Minister of Finance is the President. Let me hope so.
No question about it.
All right.
That every other agent is an agent of the president. And in our presidents, and I keep saying this, that many of us in our president's mind are cracks. Yeah, you can be a chairman of Electoral Commission, but you are not any more important than the secretary at the Human Rights Commission or the EDKCC. It's only in your head that you think you're more important. So those things have to be included in the discussion, because when we don't, in my view, we pretend that we see all the powers are in the Electoral Commission, they can decide ABC. They cannot. You see,
but the powers.
Let's take Kawempe.
The powers
on
are,
paper.
Are in the law.
On paper.
Are in the Constitution.
I told you that the Constitution is a piece of paper. I am not. These are not my words. I was quoting somebody's words. But we refuse to acknowledge that those
institutions draw power from the Constitution and the enabling laws.
I have not refused all your theories. They are all intact and very legitimate. I've also told you the practice. And I can draw for you a recent example. What was the uniform of the people who came with sticks and kicked things in Kawempe? What uniform were they putting on? You have the pictures. You want to bring them and we see the uniform. They were not in uniform. They were in civilian clothes. There were how many uniformed people with types of equipment? Who touched them? And why didn't they? So for me, it is okay to come here and be pretentious
So
and then go and
you're
pray.
saying
And then go to church tomorrow and ask God to forgive
so
me
you're
for my
saying we
pretense.
must first look at the attitude and character of
We
the
must
sitting
look
government.
at the context. And the first thing is the attitude, character, and the behavior of the sitting government. And we have been in elections from 1990.
96.
This Kenya can tell you if he goes to the files.
Actually,
there is what we call the
we
Civic
even had
Education
CA.
Joint Coordination Unit. That was Akaboi, wasn't it? I was part of the Civic Education Joint Coordination Unit with Margaret Sentam, with the late Jane Nkanji, with this man from Western Nile. Yeah, the one who was, I think, ED for NSSF later. Oh, yeah. So I'm not new.
You have been
I'm not new to this. So
processes.
I don't want to come on television or radio and pretend that these facts don't exist.
What else?
So that's the first one. The election is configured in a manner that the yellow group will win it. Yes.
Configured.
Am I saying this? Am I shy to say that? Mwanza has a PhD, he can go and expound on it and do research.
Configured as in the laws, the processes.
In practice.
In practice.
In behavior. Okay. In things on the ground. Now, those ones, I cannot expect of Kenya to say them. No. If he said them, I would be the first one to be on his neck. Yes, I would be.
Don't blackmail my.
No, I am making it easy for him actually. I'm buttressing him.
Or intimidate my.
No, I am buttressing him. He works in a context that I don't. I don't have a contract for salary and the rules not to speak like this or that. Mine, the only rule I have is not to enter into the basement. That's the only rule I have.
You say
when I come here,
the processes are configured.
Yes, in a manner that the Euro group will win the election.
I think let me, at this point, invite Bob Kenya to speak, because luckily for you, Mr. Kenya, the Honorable Justice Simon Byabakama-led commission has had time in office to gather some experience. You organized the 2021 election. Now you have another election coming up. And the questions arise right from the voters register. Like I said in the beginning, an election is not an event, it's a process.
Yeah, sure.
Then from the voters register, then to now the nominations and going forward. From your side, are you really prepared as the Electoral Commission?
Yeah, thank you once again, Apollo. And it's of course, when Mr. Baguma...
Don't be intimidated. Don't be intimidated by Baguma.
It is, well, it is for us now at personal level, it also, and professional level, it also, it's humbling to be with your seniors. And I remember now that is mentioned about that movement that is sort of designed how actually we do voter education and all that. It's left out some very, very good names like Charles Wilo Ochola.
Absolutely.
And the other people that he worked on. So I'm humbled to have worked with them, especially being mentored also by Charles Wilo Ochola. And others in that category. So it's humbling.
Kaduma.
And, Mr. Kaduma, rest in peace. He's now rested from the labors of this world. But and we appreciate the views which the issues that Dr. Wanzala also brought up. Now, on our part as Electoral Commission, we launched the roadmap in August 2023. That kicked off the cycle for this election that we're doing. Elections in Uganda are predictable because of the constitutional timeline. So we know that the term of government, the term of office of this government expires on the 12th of May next year. And so by law, elections are held within the first 30 days of the last 120 days of government. While the last 120 come back to January 12th. So you know very well that we're going to have elections between the 12th of January and the 9th of February. Those are the first 30 days of the last 120. So then what we do as Electoral Commission and that's the first level of fairness. Does everyone know what is going to happen so that they participate? Which is why I think my brother, Dr. Wanzala, it is not true that if there is any political party or any person who is caught by surprise right now, then that person was not ready to participate in this election. There is no one who can say that we're not aware because the roadmap...
But Dr. Wanzala was speaking about having a roadmap, then you adjust it.
The roadmap,
quickly,
which is why I need to say that if someone would say that the Electoral Commission is inconveniencing us by adjustment, then it is them who have real an issue. Why? Because we showed when candidates should be ready, and we gave a timeline that was actually even ahead. The roadmap is a living document. We review it, we adjust it. These are not gazetted dates. This is a planning document, and actually when we launched, we made it that clear that these are period. We've indicated a period within which we'll do an activity. Then, of course, we'll go ahead and appoint the actual date. If someone, because some political parties are just forming now, so if we are to wait for a political party to form, we have to organize elections in the first 30 days of the last 120. Then I think there will be a disaster.
So the dates now that you mentioned for nominations and what are within the period you indicated earlier?
Everything is within the period we indicated.
Oh, that is fine.
Because the period that we don't touch are the 30 days. But the preparations for those can move.
Okay.
So there's totally nothing sinister or ill intention when you review a planning document. Or as we review planning documents, we are within the financial year, we are within the election season, we are within a time frame within which, for example, a member of parliament, those actually should do, and I may sound, he said I am calm and composed, I may sound hard on them. A member of parliament should not even complain about this adjustment. It is to their convenience. You need 10 signatures to support your candidature. You have a constituency with 3 or 4 sub-counties, and you also complain that the date has been, for nomination has been taken even further. Those ones should not even complain anything about that.
Sure. But in general terms,
is
the EC prepared?
What you talked about, and that's why I want to say, and let me take a moment to do the process that we've done. We issued the roadmap. We conducted the demarcation of electoral areas, very key activity, to determine areas for representation at local government. We reorganized polling stations countrywide to make sure that voters will be able to conveniently cast their votes. All that is readiness for the elections. We conducted what we call the Gen update of the National Voters Register, so that persons who have attained 18 years and above can register. Then also those who want to do the transfers can apply to transfer. We did that in January this year. We organized and concluded the display of the register to enable members of the public identify ineligible persons who should be deleted, for example, the dead, especially the dead. Then, of course, after that, what has been happening is the conduct of special interest group elections. Now, these are progressive elections which start at the village and end up at the national level, which help us to form electoral colleges for special interest groups like workers, persons with disability, youth, and other persons. So, in terms of the roadmap, there is progress. It has progressed. It has progressed very well, the preliminary activities, because you talked about it as a process as well. If you're to tick the boxes, and that's where I come from as an election administrator, and my colleague, Dr. Wanzala, was talking about that. What boxes should we tick? We've ticked critical boxes. We started the process for accreditation, voter education NGOs. About 50 of them were accredited, have been accredited. Accreditation of observers is ongoing. Another critical aspect of the election, procurements. Procurements of goods and services. We organize very big elections. If I have time, I would break them down for you. In Uganda, and you know that part of it is our election, unique elections are part of our history. we organize so many elections. By the time we get to LC1 elections, we filled 1 million elective positions, almost plus. So procurements of goods and services, a very critical aspect. Probably some people are not giving it an
It's
eye.
on course.
But there are adverts that are in the papers all the time, printing of these ballot papers, preparation of ballot paper boxes, the technology that will be used in the elections, because I see some media has now taken it up. So all those are boxes that are being ticked, readiness, but also recruitment of staff. Supervisors at the parish and at the sub-county level. What we've been doing is to also develop and build in that capacity. So Banwanzala, if I'm to look at readiness, I would look at aspects like those that we have been ticking off. 2,300 positions filled at sub-county, so they are sub-county supervisors, because those are the people who manage elections. The returning officers at the district, we have 146 districts. But what about the sub-county people who actually now manage the elections? Then 10,717 parish supervisors recruited, deployed, and those are the ones that are helping us to manage these processes. But also now what has been happening, parties have been following the roadmap. They've been doing internal party primaries. The issues in the parties are not for me to discuss, but also that shows readiness for the elections. Now what we're going into is the nomination. And recently, of course, we've adjusted dates and indicated when various nominations will take place. In terms of readiness for the elections, we are on course with the roadmap. The roadmap is a living document. It has been subjected to several reviews. Some of them you do not get to know them because probably they don't affect you, but internally, because it's a big, what they call a Gantt chart. What you see is a summary that you can absorb. But there are technical things that have been ticked off. And I think as a country, and as an election management body, we are doing what we are mandated to do within our mandate, that is, and as the resources have been availed to us. Of course, there is also ongoing voter education and stakeholder engagement. And our voter education is activity-based. So I think that's why we're not able to do continuous voter education like you observe. So our voter education is activity-based. There is a display of the register, then it is thematic voter education. Then all effort is on that. But yeah, there is that gap of continuous voter education, but it is also ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Yes, sir.
You've talked about majorly the hardware, and I think Wanzala pointed out issues relating to the software, the legal aspects of the election. When you look at the legal framework, and like he referred to the recommendations by courts of law, do you think the legal environment will facilitate a free and fair election? You as the key stakeholder in this election. From this side, you may say you are not. I mean, you are not the ones responsible to either table electoral reforms or what. But in your experience and opinion, do you think this legal environment would facilitate the credible, free and fair election?
Yeah, of course, if we're to have elections today, we have a framework within which we can organize the elections and deliver a credible election within the existing legal framework. Because you deliver elections within an existing legal framework. And as it is at the moment, there is a law, there are laws that enable us to organize and conduct these elections. Are there areas that were supposed to be looked at for improvement? Definitely, yes. And also, Electoral Commission has initiated proposals for reforms.
Like where, areas. In which areas?
Yeah, for example, Apollo, I'm not ashamed about that, and I can say it that I didn't vote last time, and yet I'm a registered voter.
Why?
I'm supposed to vote. I'm busy on election day.
Oh.
So we've part of the areas include the early voting. How can we work on early voting? Apollo, you're going to be on deployment on polling day, yet you're a registered voter.
Yeah.
And the Electoral Commission has printed a ballot paper for you. You know that.
Yeah, I'll be
As a
here in the
registered
studio.
voter. So if you've not cast your vote, then I think we've lost, even if it's $1. Okay? To print that ballot, or 50 cents. It's a loss, but also there is your right to vote. So I think some areas in the law have affected us. For example, I didn't make it to vote last time, and I would like to vote. I'm the one who does vote education. So early voting would help media, categories of workers,
Security.
and security themselves would deploy because elections, and my brother talked about security concerns, but largely you cannot organize election without securing the electoral environment. Now you deploy all these officers, and they are deployed in places where they are not registered as voters. So someone has missed an opportunity to have a voice. So there are areas that I think can make. So for me as Paul, I can then say that since I've not voted, it has not been fair to me.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's why the description of free and fair has also been defined differently. But I think at the end of it, when we create what we have as a legal framework, enables us to organize elections where Ugandans can cast their votes, and a credible result is achieved. So the other issues that are remain challenging the system can also be addressed by legal reforms, for example, financing, and of course the conduct of some of our stakeholders during the electoral process, especially like you mentioned, for example, if someone who has been trained and passed out as a security officer, if they decide in the morning to abuse their uniform or what, then they need to be brought to account.
Thank you so much, Paul. And I think that's where we start from when we come back from this short break. The issue of violence and at times attributed to the involvement of security forces, I think it also affects your work and the delivery of results. We go for a break, but when we return, we continue to interrogate the preparedness or unpreparedness of Uganda as we head into and the stakeholders involved in the 2026 elections. Let's go for a break. We'll return after this short while.